We are moving into a holiday season. A number of traditions are already and celebrating holidays. Um, Diwali was just earlier this week, which is a beautiful Hindu holiday. And so as we move into this time, a lot of traditions are even secular living is trying its best to slow down in a season that is very, very fast. And it feels like everything is coming at you and you have to fit it all in. So I'm very appreciative that you're here and try to craft a lesson that I think will work across platforms. So it could work in person, it could work online. It can also work as a take home activity and then bring it back. And this would work for, in a worship setting. This would work in the library after school program setting. It runs the gamut. So regardless of any particular faith tradition, if at all, one of the words that we hear a lot this time of year is peace. And that can mean when described something very, very different across cultures, but there are similar nuggets. And I have reasons why I think that's the case. And so what we're going to do, rather than using the Say Something book, which is an excellent tool, we're going to do a Dove of Peace design with a simple piece of paper. And if all you have is a pencil, it's going to work just fine. No need to worry. What I'd like you to do, if you can, is take a pen, pencil, whatever you have, put your non-dominant hand on the piece of paper, and you can do it landscape or portrait, however you'd like. And I want you to trace your hand as I offer you a few quotes on peace, okay? Go as slowly as you like. Make it as contemplative or as calm as you'd like. The first one comes from a brilliant writer named James Baldwin. And he said, "Artists are here to disturb the peace." And I'll go ahead and I'll put that one in the chat. And I'm putting optional next to all of them because you'll be able to choose the one that speaks most to you. The second one comes from Christian scripture. And it says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." And the last one is most recent. You may recall it from a recent presidential inauguration. It's also in a number of her poetry books now by Ms. Amanda Gorman. "We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice." So after you have drawn your hand, and I'm going to do mine now, that was my email. I'd like you to spend a couple of minutes taking a look at those quotes. Take a look at what may be similar in all of them if you want to take them as a whole. If one kind of pulls itself out to you and is really reaching out to you, focus on that one. I'd like you to write down on the top of your paper 1 or 2 words that from that quote really, really leap out. And I would love it if you knew that you can also include the names of the speakers, if that's really what reaches out to you. And as you are doing that, feel free to speak or not. We always have the right to pass between Dr. Ott and I. We can pass and not speak. But if you would like to tell us, just call out 1 or 2 of the words that really reach out to you. Feel free to say them over Zoom. I will tell you that peacemaker is one that always leaps out at me. And you can also type those in the chat if you'd prefer to do that. Once you have developed the 1, 2, maybe 3 words that you think are, disturb, called, and justice. And you got that from several of them, I think. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dr. Ott. Once you have the ones that have called out to you, I'd like you, and I'm glad that your video is not on because I was going to suggest turning your video off. And I'd like you to decorate your hand to look like a dove of peace. And by that, I mean on the thumb, you'll be able to put a dot and a little triangle for a beak. So we will all have doves. But then I'd love you to either write words, doodle, draw pictures. If somebody's got paint at 12:30 in the morning on a lunch break, great. But I'd love to see you decorate your dove to reflect those words that you found. Maybe that is peacemaker for me. Maybe I find myself calling myself to account and realizing I'm not really doing a whole bunch to make peace. And so maybe in my context, I would write accountability. Maybe for Dr. Ott, disturb may have a lot of interesting looking doodles that might look a little messy, but they mean something to her, and that's what disturbance can look like. And so we're going to take, and I don't want you to overthink this, we're going to take about 3-4 minutes to decorate this as we see fit, and then you will have created your own Art of Ethics gallery item. And the reason that we're doing this is to let you know it can be done, and it can be adapted to multiple contexts. And in the process of doing this, you can tell your students, your children, who, what have you, that they are doing ethics as they're creating this piece of art. We hear a lot of times, at least in my context, I hear a lot of times, make good choices, make wise choices, make smart choices. And what that phrase is really saying is ethics. We just don't call it that. So we'll give you 2-3 more minutes, and then we'll take a look. Okay, we'll do about 1 more minute. As you finish up, I'd like to let you know too, um, if these activities, either you don't think they'll work in your setting, or um, there are ideas that you're getting from these activities that you think would really pop in your setting, that's what we want. So feel free to use what we've offered you as it is. That's just fine. But if you are getting little sparks of creativity, we want that. We don't need 200 self-portraits. I mean, they're adorable and they speak volumes. But part of this is showing the various ways that we can convey our ethic. And a lot of times you'll find, particularly with, no, I wouldn't even say particularly with older students. Across the board, you'll see that when you start asking your students why they did what they did, some of them will tell you that these are my ethics, but they're not society's. And this this activity will give you greater insight into who your students are. And it'll also give you greater insight into who your families are. Because a lot of families don't know that their kids can do this. A lot of families, for better or worse, don't know they can do this. This isn't something that that generation was trained with. It just wasn't. And so to have an intergenerational option as well is enormously helpful. And it'll stir a lot of conversations. So if anyone's interested in showing what they've done, we would love to see it. And if not, that's completely fine. But I would like to know, because we have a pretty good smattering of people, was there a particular quote out of those three that spoke to you? I'd love to see where we netted out on, was there a predominant one or was it all over the board? So feel free to either type in the chat or speak into the mic. I knew Miss Margie would show me. There we are.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of disturbed fingers, but a calmer center.
Oh.
So hopefully by speaking, discussing our disruptions, we can come to a more peaceful center.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Can I do it with 4th and 5th graders? We shall see.
Well, I'm literally here to help you.
I know this.
So yeah, that's beautiful. And I think they'd love that. Like, just
this is very straightforward.
It's very simple. Yeah, it can be done in a singular session. Right. This isn't like we got to let it dry. Nothing like that. Rachel said the James Baldwin quote spoke to her. I love that one. He has what a knack for brevity and punch. Just, oh.
This is Christine, and the James Baldwin quote and the Matthew quote spoke to me. And there's something that I want to explore a little more about that idea that artists are here to disturb the peace, but that's often maybe the powerful's understanding of peace or adults. And children are often accused of disrupting adult peace, but yeah, and they are peacemakers. So that disturbing the peace is part of being a peacemaker, I guess is a way to say that in short.
You should read the Leader's Guide. Very
I haven't
good.
yet.
I want to share, Christine, I feel that same way. And I will. Okay. We also did some work on the Blessed Are the Peacemakers. So we have a little blog, and St. Andrew United Methodist Church in Colorado invited us to give that to feature Art of Ethics as one of their Beatitudes lessons for the summer. So there's some additions there. I'll also say I didn't have a full-size piece of paper. So I think I have to hold it up against myself so you all can see it, because otherwise it gets muted. So I'm sort of half. I was also really drawn to the word disturb, but I was trying to find a way, I think, Christine, like what you were saying, that I don't think Baldwin meant disturb as like a negative by any means. And so I tried to depict a stick figure throwing a stone into the water for ripples. That always disturbs the water, but I really think what Baldwin's trying to do with art is disturb the peace, as you said, like this dominant version of peace, of making things just go as they are, so people in power can stay in power. And I obviously my view of Jesus is that Jesus was doing the same thing. So I was trying to put that all together, and then I love things to be symmetrical. So I had to write Art of Ethics because I had nothing on that finger. But the other thing I loved about this was when I first started out, I'm the kind of person who like tries to get it done. And so I like traced my hand immediately. And then I thought, wait a second, I have to keep listening to these quotes and like slow down. And so that's when I grabbed other colors to trace the fingers with. So that might be an added piece of like having your kids just like keep going with it.
I love that. Yeah.
So I have this dough, and I wrote in a heart, we are one with all creation. So I thought about the dough as a God's creation, the nature, and the peace. I understood that we can be in peace when we understand that we need to be one with all creation and with each other. This is my job. So thank you for this opportunity.
Anna, that's lovely. This was lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. This was lovely. Thank you so much, everyone.